Thank you, Nidhi. Thank for the lovely words. Thank you, folks. I'm sure it's an interesting Saturday for all of you. So happy Saturday, good afternoon. And yeah, welcome to Converge Day 2. So I think I'm quite excited, though the excitement I believe, in person was far more when we see all of you out there and talking to people, interacting with you all. But I guess this is the best we have right now. So let's jump in. So quickly, I'll just share my screen. Give me 2 minutes. Is this visible, my screen?
Yes, Geeta, yes, it is.
Okay, okay. You can see the PPT, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I know that you've heard a lot about anything as a service. We have heard of the platform as a service, infra as a service, the backend, front end, and everything that goes into making it. So I'll quickly take you to the world of learning as a service. Now let's do one thing. Let's let our imagination run loose for a while. Okay. And let's visualize this. So tell me what comes to your mind when you think of on-demand learning, just-in-time learning. You can key in your words, and if somebody can prompt me, that'll be great. But just feel free to, take 2 minutes to just think of what comes to your mind when you think of learning as a service. Okay, so let's see, are these real or are these buzzwords? True, Googling how to solve a problem when something breaks, right? So let's visualize this. I know a lot of talk around food, pizza and Swiggy, but yeah. Does something like this come to your mind that, you have learning on your fingertips? Your own ATM, your own ATL, that is, your anytime learning. An exhaustive menu of programs that are there from multiple providers, rated, ranked, all your offers, discounts, promotions, everything there. And add to that your personalized recommendations, knowing that, okay, I am getting into the innovation space. So, maybe an innovation masterclass by Elon Musk is something that would be come up on your recommended list. And a bonus, you have your own personal learning advisor to help you with your learning journey. So is this something that you think learning as a service could be of use to a customer, to a user like us, who's kind of flooded with information all around us? We have Udemy's of the world, we have Coursera's of the world, and you jump in and you have like ocean of information around any of the apps, any of the marketplaces that you go to. Quickly take you here. I know it's a lightning talk. I would have loved to have a long discussion around all of these, but yeah, quickly taking you to an example. Let's say, we want a tech architect program that you want to enroll for one or subscribe to one. You would go to Udemy and let's say, you search for a tech architect program and multiple things pop up. But what about, a learning app that tells you, okay, that these are the courses that you can choose from, but at the same time, there are these 3-4 courses that come up and pop up based on your learning history and based on the fact that, okay, this is where I am with my role. And I know I have searched for these things before, but this is something that is exclusively and specially relevant for me right now. How would that sound? Cool. I know it would have been great to have a more verbal interaction here, but I'll move on. And I know I can see lots of comments on the screen. Yeah, there are also adoption platforms to ease the learning process. Absolutely. Yes. So how does this pan out? When we say learning as a service, what does it mean for different people? And let's take a quick example. I love the pizza example that Ravinder shared because that's so similar to this, that, different people visualize learning as a service very differently. Let's say, I want a house to live. Now, what can I do? I have multiple options. Like I could rent a bare shell, modify it the way I want to, which is like, the infrastructure as a service. I could rent an unfinished house with walls, doors, windows, and then furnish it my way, which is the platform as a service. Or I could look at a fully furnished house, and just pay my monthly rentals, at the most my electricity bills. That's also the way I could consume it. And in a learning parlance, how does it pan out? We have multiple of these that organizations and individuals use. A lot of times, you have bare bone LMSs. You can have an open source LMS like Moodle and customize it for your needs. You just have the infrastructure and you build on it the way you want to. Or you could rent an enterprise LMS, like, you have multiple of those, Bose, Absorb, Litmus, Cornerstone, so many of those. And you white label them as per your company branding. And then, do a modification as per as it deems fit for your needs. Or you have your fully furnished on-demand, learning LMSs or learning experience platforms that you can just buy. You have your monthly subscriptions, you just subscribe to them, and it gets customized based on the learning habits, the learning needs of your people. More like a learning marketplace, like a Swiggy or a Netflix kind of, over-the-counter consumption with its recommender system in place. I'll pause if there's any question, any thoughts, any ideas that I would love to hear. Cool. So I'll go ahead with that. How does it benefit learners? I think of, when we think of learning as a service, there are three keywords that stand out for me. One is that it's personalized, it's adaptive, and the third is continuous. So these are the three key keywords that's driving learning today, mostly around how we consume learning, how we treat learning, and how do we process it. So how does LaaS benefit learners? It benefits learners by, those three things accordingly, like anytime learning. So you have accessible at the point learning, on demand, and always available. The mobility of it, so it's accessible across devices. Now you don't need to be hooked onto one device for it. As with any other service, it's across devices. It's personalized. If you are somebody who prefers bite-sized learning, you like watching videos, or you are more towards, small visual learning. So you get something that is personalized in smaller bits and pieces. Or if you are something who prefers deeper learning, then, more of those scientific articles and journals are references pop up on your screen saying that, okay, I like to know the whys of learning. So that's how I'm going deeper into it. Multimodal, you don't need to depend only on an app for your learning. It could come through your WhatsApp messages or across any other social learning platforms that you're part of. It could trigger, it could be, a handbook, it could be from your LMSs that are part of your organization system. So there's a seamless integration of learning across all the interfaces that you have with systems at your workplace or on your devices. And the third and the fifth one is critical. It is the adaptive. That means based on your role, your profile, your learning history, how does the learning that is given out to you more changes or evolves or more gets modified? And the more data that you have, or the more data that the system has from you, the richer that information becomes about you, and the recommendation becomes stronger and more relevant for you. Yeah, summarizing this, like, personalized, adaptive, and ongoing. So, quick time check. Yes, we're at time. So what's the learning as a service ecosystem look like? I think if you look at it at a high level, at a very macro level, it's the same as any other SaaS. You have a front end and you have a back end. And the front end is something which has to be easy to use, intuitive, and completely driven by user research to understand how do consumers really consume that learning. And that interface has to be very intuitive. And what's the back end? I wouldn't go into details because I'm sure you all are aware of, the multiple entities in the back end. One thing that stands out here very critically are the integrations that are required with the multiple systems in the backend, so that all these three elements of personalization, of it being adaptive, of it being continuous is available to the learning app. So you have, your integrations with other LMSs, with your learning record system, with your social profiles like LinkedIn, or with your organization's performance management system, so that it reflects your learning and updates it. So it has a complete integration with your history, your interactions with your other systems, so that if you move, how you move through the system, it should be able to track all those data and be able to process it and give it to you for consumption. Yes, Content Kitchen is something which is interesting, because that's where, all your learning things are cooked up, and there are providers who cook it, or you should be able to quickly stir up something if you need to, like pull, push, make something quickly. Yeah. And course creators, curriculum designers are something that, they have the, in the back end trying to figure out that, okay, so how do I make a quick micro learning out of this long 2-hour-long program? Or, there's a big program, a 5-week-long program, but Geeta is not free and she getting onto a new role, let's say in 2 weeks, and needs something quickly for her to be able to catch that, get it out. So how do we pull that together for her and curate that for her easy consumption? This is my favorite part of the story now. So what's on my wish list? My own virtual learning advisor, somebody who knows my strengths, my areas of development, my goals, my aspirations, and, and help me work towards it. And how do I do it? It should be selected by an algorithm that matches my profile against a repository of content, modules, mentors that's available in the huge learning ecosystem at the back end. This is something that, we always wish for, and I am yet to come across it, but that's why I said it's on my wish list. If Netflix can personalize and recommend my own unique watch list, Uber can send me recommendations based on my ride patterns, Swiggy suggests menus and restaurants personalized exclusively for me, so why can't my learning be personalized for me? Why should I only look at those that are rated highest by everybody else? How do I know that, the program that's top rated and ranked is right just for me? Because, a lot of time when I enroll for a program, I just drop off, after 20 minutes, because somehow I feel that, okay, it may be the profile is right, the audience is right, the expectations I've set is right, but it's just not for me. So how do I get that match right? And if that happens, absolutely, we never even love the highly rated movies. And some of those that are not highly rated or highly rated by critics, but poorly rated on IMDb, sometimes make the best movies in the world. So how do you know that, my taste, it caters to exactly my taste and my need and gives me a recommendation for those? This is interesting because a lot of times the onus is on us. If you look at a lot of these learning certification, the onus is always on us to say that, okay, I have completed this certification, I have completed this program, I know I have benefited, but I would really love to, share it with somebody, or would like to put it up there so that, if there are any opportunities that are coming my way, I know that people understand that this is something that I have done, or this is something I'm good at, and I would be interested. Or I know I want to put up something that, okay, this is on my learning wish list. Like, you have a wish list for books, and I can put it up somewhere there so that people know if they need to, they can connect that. So those are things that I feel that seamless integration is always missing. So if I complete a course, I know it is completed, that there's a learning record system which stores that data, but where does it get populated? Can it quickly, automatically share it? Let's say I've given an example of LinkedIn, it could be anything else based on our need, but can it be shared on our LinkedIn profile? Can it be shared on our internal talent apps? Like we have internally in Thoughtworks, something like a Jigsaw or a Workday or Pathways, which track our talent development through the talent development journey. Can it show up there without me going everywhere and manually entering it? And when I move, the data moves. I feel it's something like my health record. You don't have to, it has to be available. I can go from Dr. A to Dr. B. I can move from one city to another, but my health record should actually be in the back end. I shouldn't be carrying those files with me and taking them everywhere. And if I lose something, the onus is on me, that I've lost it. So I miss out on very important information about my life. This is a continuation of that I don't want my learning to be dated. It's not a point in time. What happens is these days it becomes a one-time activity that I have learned something, I've like fill it, forget, what was that? Fill it, shut it, forget it. It becomes one of those. But it shouldn't be, because learning is a lifelong activity. I move from one activity, one profile to another, one job roles to another, one challenge to another. And I have the need to upgrade, to learn newer skills, to learn newer, understand the domain better, the technology better, or the systems better. And how does that feed in continuously without me going out to them? Can that come to me? So that is something which is truly learning as a service, I believe. Cool. So I think I've reached the end, and I haven't gone into details of running it like a business. What does it mean? Because that's another, how do you strategize this? How do you create a business out of learning as a service? So I haven't gone into those. Maybe, that's talk for another day. But I thought I'll quickly summarize it, saying that what are the quick sensible defaults if I have to say top 5? And again, the 3 keywords come to my mind: personalized, adaptive, and ongoing. So sensible defaults would be self-service. Now, if it has fewer support teams required, fewer with minimal support, minimal maintenance, minimal dependence on other things, that would be a great way to have consider something as a service. Personalized, because I should be able to personalize, and the content that comes to me can be personalized for me. So there's a two-way activity here. Easy integration, like I said, that's a critical thing that I should be able to, there shouldn't be a barrier there saying that, oh no, I can't fetch things from LinkedIn for you, sorry. No, oh, okay, I can't connect to Workday, that's not on our area, that's not something we can do. Oh, you have a learning record system, but I can't quote it. No, those kind of questions shouldn't be there. It should be an easy integration across systems. How do we ensure that? Monitoring and maintenance, that's an area which is which is often ignored, because a lot of times, we have enterprise app learning management systems, we subscribe to cloud-based systems, we have a lot of these access to platforms, but at the end, in the back end, a lot of times there are bugs and errors, and there's so much of outage that people are frustrated, and we lose traction on that. So that should be more from a the ease of use, or from a customer's point of view. This should be something that we take care of. The other is security and compliance. That's becoming a big real day concern today. So that's no longer a check on the calendar. It is of high priority, because not only from the data privacy point of view, but also from the secure access point of view. Like often when we talk of getting a vendor on board or a learning tool that we want to use, even briefly, the access becomes a big point of concern. So how do we ease those parts out? So so I think those top 5 I would like to summarize as the sensible defaults that we need to keep in mind. Yes, that's pretty much where we are.